Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to be ranking the Scream movies. With the release of Scream 6, I figured why not go ahead and re-rank these. We've done this in the past, which...
I'll be in the background.
yeah, she'll do her ranking in the background. So we ranked these in the past in videos.
So hard. It's probably one of the hardest franchises for me to freaking rank.
But we'll go from our least favorite to our favorite, and say a little bit about them, and give our score for them, and we'll see how different we are here. We're usually pretty different on our rankings.
Oh yeah. For the most part, we are almost entirely different.
But so we'll get started. I'll let you want to go first or me go first?
Me.
Alright, you go. What's your worst of the franchise?
Scream 2. Now keep in mind though, I love all these movies unlike everyone else, but Scream 2 would be at the bottom.
Yeah, just that goes for both of us. We both enjoy this franchise, and even if it's the worst, that doesn't mean it's like
we hate it
a 1 out of 5 or nothing.
Yeah, like
it can be like
2,
a 3 out of 5 or something.
Yeah, Scream 2 for me would be like a 3, 3.5. That's my lowest. So.
Any reason in particular why, or it's the last?
It's the only one for me that seems to feel like it drags a little bit, and at the same time though, it also feels like it ends too soon. Like there's not a lot going on throughout the initial middle part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I mean, it's a great movie. It's just that's the only reason I put it at the very bottom, because I could actually pinpoint exactly why I disliked it or thought it was at the bottom right off the bat.
So in previous videos with my ranking, I've had one at the very bottom for quite a while.
The very first one?
Huh?
The very first one, or just one of the movies you're talking about?
One of the movies in general.
Okay.
There's been one of the movies that's always been at the bottom, and I've always...
I know it.
I've always... this has always been the weakest in the franchise for me personally, but as I was thinking about it over the weekend and rethinking about these movies, it's no longer the worst, but not by a lot. The worst now falls to Scream 2.
We got the samesies.
Scream 2 to me is the most forgettable one. It does drag. I feel like it has the least going for it.
The beginning kill scene is good, and then the very end scene is good, but in between there's not a whole lot going on.
Yeah, it just feels like they...
You know it's coming, you don't see it.
Yeah, they kill Randy off in the second one, which sucks. Yeah. I loved Randy.
That's the only thing that had me like going for the middle part was Randy ended up dying, which sucks. But
yeah, but for me, this is the most forgettable out of the franchise. But I still would put this one at probably a 3 out of 5.
Makes sense. I'm about 3.5.
It's still good. It still has a lot of positives going for it. It's Ghostface. Any Ghostface movie is a positive. But to me, it is now sitting last at 3 out of 5 on my ranking for Scream 2 now. So go ahead. You're next.
Number 5, worst to best, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next one is the first Scream. Only because, and this one actually used to be at the bottom for me.
That one hurts.
Only because I felt like it ended too soon. Like there's a lot going on. I just felt like it wasn't. It felt like it went by too fast.
It's not perfect, but
no. I'll just say this one is one of the more gory ones technically out of at least the original 3.
Oh yeah, the original 3. Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. But it's jumped up to 5 for me. It's grown on me over time. Like I feel like.
Oh, you mean on 5th place?
Yeah.
I thought you meant 5 stars, like, and it's down next to last.
No. But it's definitely grown on me over time, and the more time goes by, the more I start to like even more. But I think it's also a nostalgic feel for me too, because so much time has passed now, and you know that type of thing. But it has moved up to my 5th spot, and I'd probably rate it about the same as Scream 2, even though it's a little bit better in my opinion. It's about 3.5.
Next, for my, I guess, fifth spot, is Scream 3. This was the one that I always set dead last for me.
And I hated you for it.
But after thinking about it over the weekend, leading up to this ranking, Scream 3, it is memorable, more memorable than Scream 2.
It's because it's so different.
And
compared to the others.
It's dumb fun. I try to see it as dumb fun.
And they didn't mean for it like intend for it to be that way, but
yeah, for most people, it's the worst in the franchise, and I can't argue that necessarily if they say that, because I mean,
I can see where they would see that.
Yeah, but if you just look at it as a dumb, fun slasher, and just kind of not think too hard on it, it's better than Scream 2 in that sense. And as I said, it's more memorable than Scream 2. And it's the only one so far that's given us one killer that's done the killing.
Yeah.
It's different in that sense.
But they didn't like overdo it either and do like 20 killers. So like,
yeah.
It wasn't like a cult thing. They just did one, which was good.
So
they had a legit reason for something.
Yeah. So for me, I would probably put this at a 3.5, giving it that half a score higher, solely because it's more memorable and you can have dumb fun with it. But that sits at number 5, Scream 3.
Number 4 for me is Scream 3. I would rate that one overall probably about a 4. I just like the whole Hollywood aspect. And of course, Patrick Dempsey and it makes it 10 times better.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know, I just like the feel of it. I think because it was so different, but it was still following the slasher stuff they had already previously done.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was okay with it. Now, if they would have changed it, like, to Hollywood, and they would have used all kinds of, like, different, like, torture type way, I would have been like, no, screw it. But I think because they also stuck with the original way of doing it, it was fine.
I will say with Scream 3, instead of opening up to Cotton's death, I kind of wished, and I know I said I hate Randy dying in the second one, I feel like you could have opened up with Randy's death in the third one. And saved Randy. Because...
saved Randy?
Like, didn't kill Randy in the second one, but killed him in the opening of the third one. I think it could have been done, and even though I'd hate to see him go, even though I would have hated to see, but I think it would have had more of an impact.
It would have had more of an impact, but to me,
than Cotton,
because at that point, Cotton was already, or in my opinion anyway, he already started making a connection with the audience at that point because of everything that had happened and with him being accused and all that. So I feel like it was still just as much of an impact. But I could see Randy being the same amount of impact, or maybe just a tad bit more, only because he was part of the main group.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I feel like Cotton did a good impact though too.
Cotton was fine, but I think you could have saved.
I died though when he died.
You could have saved Randy and not have had him get killed off in the second one, and then killed him off at the beginning of the third one. I feel like had that more impact. But so, for me, in 4th place, this one was where it starts to get really tough.
I know, my top 3
are. I'm probably gonna have to go. Probably Scream 4. To me, Scream 4, I enjoy it. I know some people don't. But I like the characters. I like the kills. To me, Scream 4 is still a very solid film. I'm not sure why it gets hate, but I think... Is there something?
No.
Oh. But I think overall, uh, for Scream 4, I would probably give it a 4 out of 5. Um, I like the uh, that's sort of when I actually like. I think the ending to that one it's kind of a little much, where Emma comes back and they have to like zap her
Yeah.
head and stuff. I think it kind of gets a little too much at the end, but it's still a very solid film. It still works on every level for me, and I go 4 out of 5 for my fourth place film of Scream 4.
Number 3 and 2 for me are both interchangeable depending on the day, but which is third and second place. So on the list currently, though, I have in third place Scream 6. Only because obviously I love the gore in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying not to give too much away because we didn't do a spoiler review yet.
It'll be up by the time I put this up.
Then, the thing with Scream 6 is it's gory, and everyone did very well, especially Jenna. But I felt like, one, there was something missing. 2, it was, even though they did some stuff different, to me, it also was copying too much. I think it's also because of them copying the second movie, because the second movie obviously is one of the weaker movies of the original part of the series. So I think that's also what it's like. I like it, but then again I don't. So it's like one of those iffy things. And I hate saying that because I still like the movie. It's just at the same time I wish they would have done something different, where they went a different route. But I would probably rate that one about a 4.5-ish.
So number 3, right? 3.
3, yeah.
For me, I'm going Scream 5. I think Scream 5. Scream 5 for me is very solid. I wanted more. I wanted Jenna to be able to do more. I felt like she was sidelined too much in this one. In the fifth one, yeah. I think that.
It really bothered me though.
I thought the kills was good, but to me, this was just. We get Dewey's death in this one, which is heartbreaking.
God. I about died. Oh, I
I
still want to tear up just saying that.
That was a very hard kill to watch next to Randy. It should have been Gail, but
We'll say that's another time, another story. Another time.
But with Dewey's death, that was such an impactful thing for this movie as well. But to me, it's just it's obviously a copy of the first Scream, and to me,
but it worked.
It worked, but it didn't reach that same level as the original Scream.
But it's because they redid it.
And
it's not gonna have the same impact. The same people watching it.
It falls at number 3 for me, but I still would give it a 4.5. 4 out of 5, because this one and Scream 5 and Scream 4 are very interchangeable, because they both sit at 4 out of 5s for me. And they're just either, on any day I could watch either one and be perfectly happy and fine. But to me, this one just kind of fell right below my top 2. So.
Number 2 for me, which is interchangeable with the last one that I just did, is Scream 4. I would probably rate that one around a 4.5, but it's like hitting 4.75 there, because it's like right middle between 4.5 and 5. But I like it. It did everything the original movies had done as far as how they went about things, and I thought, like, when I watched the movie, I didn't really have any suspicions of Emma, so I thought that was good, because I don't like immediately knowing who it is all the time, obviously, but I thought she did really good, and her reasoning behind it was very like I could see that happening. Like it wasn't completely out there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially obviously growing up with Sydney as family.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was great. But I think I think everything about it was really good. I don't really have a whole lot negative to say except for at the end they sort of I don't like the double ending. I've said this before. How they when she's getting carried on the gurney into the hospital, you think it's the end, and then they like it even starts to sort of fade out even in like the screen, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're in the hospital and they're doing the whole. That's the only thing I didn't really like about it because I don't like the double endings, or I like the twist endings like that where it makes you like tricks your mind. But otherwise, I don't have any major issues with it.
So I guess on to our top two. At number 2 for me is Scream 6, the most current Scream. I did have this in my review at a 4 out of 5. After thinking about it over the weekend, letting it sit with me for a week for the weekend, I bumped it up to a 4.5 out of 5. It has its issues. I think the Jenna and Mason's character getting together was a little forced. I think that I can never say his name correctly. Dermot Mulroney, how you say his name?
Mulroney.
I thought his acting was kind of bad. And
I didn't think it was bad. It just wasn't like it didn't stand out.
And yes, this does copy the second film, but for me,
there were some things that changed though.
For me, where Scream 5 isn't as good as the first Scream, Scream 6 passes the second Scream up. I think it's the better version. I think if you watch the first Scream, I think if you watch the first Scream and then watch this one, or at least I guess you'd have to watch the fifth one technically, but it's a better it's a better 2 feel vibe to it because it's giving you parts of what the second one gave you, but
a few newer things.
Better. You get Tara doing more.
A whole lot more gore.
Yeah.
Because the only big gore scene, like huge gore scene in the original second one was Randy's scene.
Yeah,
and they didn't even like show that. They just showed the blood splatter.
Yeah. And I mean with this one you get Tara doing a lot more. You know, Jenna wasn't silent. Her character wasn't sidelined in this one.
Which you gotta think that in the last movie she was also like.
Well, yeah, but I hated that she was our kind of fake out kill.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the fake out, but I didn't like that it sidelined her. I'd rather it sidelined Melissa Barrera, or whatever you say her name.
Did they even do opening for that one? I think that was the one they did.
Scream 5?
Yeah.
I think she was the opening.
I know, but then it never actually, she never actually died.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay.
But yeah, this one to me, it's gorier, it's more fun. I connect with the characters good, and
if they didn't even bring Nev into it, you could easily watch, or if you didn't have maybe Gale, but definitely not Dewey or Nev, then you could watch 5 and 6 by themselves.
To me, here's my thing. I definitely agree because to me these last 2 that they've done are definitely feel more like reboots or remakes than they do sequels.
She's supposed to be in the next one.
I feel like
she was initially there basically to guide them what to do, but
I feel like they were afraid to not have the original 3
just in case.
That they threw them in there, and to me, you could have done this without them. They should have just left them out, and this could have been just a whole reboot or remake franchise to the Scream world. But again, though, it's still fine. It still works to the extent, and for me, Scream 6 is the second best of the franchise, even with my issues with it. And as I said, it gets a 4.5 out of 5.
My top one is Scream 5, actually, only because it, and I would rate it probably a 5 out of 5, but it does everything the first movie does, obviously, but it's aware but not too aware, and which is very important because you don't want it to go overboard. And I think it worked for that movie only because it had been so long since I had done the original movie. So it wasn't like, oh, well, it's not, because otherwise it wouldn't be funny or like ironic or anything. But I like how they did that. I think the gore was decent, obviously, and everyone did great in it. The only thing is, and it may just be because I'm used to it, the only thing I would change is have Nev in it more fighting, but that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I think what they did with her also worked.
Mm-hmm. They basically did her and Gale the same way they did Gale in the sixth one. They were just they were in it, but very limited.
Yeah.
My number one, and it gets a 5 out of 5, still hasn't been surpassed. You probably should be able to guess it by now, and that's the original Scream.
I do not think it's better than the other ones, definitely.
I enjoy the original Scream. I think it started the franchise. The characters are just so memorable. I love Matthew Lillard, and just
love him.
I thought it had the comedy. I thought it had, it could have had gorier kills, yes. But I love the little nods they had in there, little Easter eggs they had in there. To me, the first Scream is just so amazing. It really just set the franchise on the right foot and gave us, it's what gave us the franchise really, in general. So to me, it's still number one. Will probably always be number one, but we'll see how the seventh one does. But yeah, it's first Scream's 5 out of 5 for me. I think it's the best yet. So probably some disagree, or plenty probably disagree. But that's just how I rank them. Obviously, my wife disagrees. She has Scream all the way down at the bottom.
Listen, okay, it's hard enough for me to rank them at all.
But I think, unless you want to say anything else, I believe that's it for our ranking video.
No.
Alright, so that is everything for this ranking video of the Scream franchise. So please comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified for our videos. We will see you all in the next one.